Hey, peace reflection. Welcome back to another chance and opportunity. In this video, we're going to talk about quantum entanglement and how the past, the present, and the future, they're all quantum entangled, and how we're intimately connected with the entire universe, just like how the ancients have been telling us for thousands and thousands of years, and sculptures and through symbols and so many different ways and forms. So we're going to break that down today, looking at it through the lens of quantum unity. Okay, so today we're going to talk about quantum entanglement. All right, so if you come here and you look at the model, look at the standard model, right? F equals future, P equals present, M equals past. Again, future is superposition, present is the observer, or the fractal boundary to be more specific, and past is observation, which is really just remembrance. All right, so in this model, we are going to examine the relationship between the present and the past, or rather, the observer and its observation, okay? So when an observer collapses the wave function, okay? So when the observer collapses the wave function, it interacts with its environment, which is over here. This is the environment. When an observer collapses the wave function, it interacts with its environment, quantum entangling with its observation. Okay, so we got to realize that observation and environment, they're synonymous. They're the same thing. Okay, and we'll just decode things as we go, so there's no confusion. And in a later video, we're going to discuss wave function collapse. So my views on how that occurs, again, through the lens of quantum unity, and the significance of the environment. All right, so we're going to look at all that. All right, so in other words, when an observer observes his environment, it becomes quantum entangled with it. So when observation occurs, the observer and its observation are connected. All right, so let's just look at the 2D model here. Okay, now your 2D model, you got F, you got P over here, and then you got M, right? So this part collapses this part, and then this part turns here, and then this part, when it looks, so it sees. So this part collapses that part. The present collapses the future into the past, and that's what the present sees. The present sees its environment, right? It sees its observation. The observer sees its observation. So the relationship between the present, the relationship between the present and the past, the relationship between the observer and its observation, that's how this whole mechanism works. And it's a real mechanism. I'm just putting it in a model so that it's easily understandable, right? So yeah, in this video, again, we're just talking about this right here. All right, this is you, the observer. All right, this is you. That's the awareness, and then over here is your environment. All right, environment. Okay, and it seems like you're in here, but really what you're seeing is a reflection of your internal world. This here is a reflection of this. So all you're seeing is a reflection of your internal world. That's all your environment is. Okay? Remember, you're quantum entangled with all of this. So when observation occurs, the observer and his observation are connected. The Buddhists, they call this attachments. We become attached to where we prioritize our awareness, right? So where attention goes, energy flows, right? Right. Some indigenous peoples refer to it as the cosmic web, which connects everything. If you look at the quantum unity formula, it's the first part is P collapses F into M, and then the second part is M influences P. Okay. The second part of the formula refers to this relationship between the observer and its observation. In other words, in another video, we'll also discuss consciousness and the value of our attention. All right. So anyway, the formula is an entire being shown by the self model. And I don't know if you recall the self model. We'll write it out right now. So this is the self model. And I do apologize to viewers at home if this is a uncomfortable experience watching my videos. I'm just trying to get into the flow of things, so please bear with me. I appreciate your patience. All right, and then the last one is memory, which is what the M stands for. Memory. All right, so this is the self model. Standard model. Self. All right. All right, so you have your standard model over here. Then here's the self model. Okay. So if you look at the self model, our awareness is rendering our memory. That's all it is. Rendering memory, that's all we're doing is when we're rendering memory, we're remembering. So it's all about remembering. Okay? You're just remembering, oh yes, that's right. This external reality is just reminding me that I am everything. Right? So you gotta pay attention to the universe. The universe is always talking to you through synchronicities. The universe is literally always talking to you. Remember, we're living in a dream. This is a dream that we're in. All right, so all experience exists as rendered memory. By understanding the relationship between the observer and his observation, we begin to understand how we are connected throughout the entire observable universe and the tremendous influence we have on it. Our reflection, I'm thankful, and I love myself. Peace.